You're listening to the Para House Entertainment Network. Come join us as we take you deep into the fire to the paranormal realms of hauntings, UFOs, ETs, alien abductions, strange creatures, and the vastness of universal consciousness as we continue to seek what is not supposed to exist as we search for the truth that only comes from going into the fire. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Into the Fire. It's great to have you all out here tonight. We're looking for you all to be warmed up and ready to go for this awesome show tonight. We have our good friend and new friend, actually, and we've been talking in the green room, and he is ready to go. And I really kind of like him. He's a real likable guy, and I think we're going to get some good information from him tonight. His name is Rick Warner, and he is with ERC, the Extraterrestrial Research Center, and there's where you can follow him at. I'm going to bring him on in just a second here, but we're going to talk to Billy and see how things are going. We're not going to have Tanya tonight, I hear. She's been doing inventory and all tarred out and pooped out, I guess, huh?
Yep, she's already gone to bed.
There you go.
The tank is on empty.
That inventory stuff will do it to you every time.
Through inventory week, so she's had a long week.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time to recover tonight. But you and I can definitely fill in the spots. We're looking for the chat room to come on strong tonight, as they always do.
Joanne, Frankie Lynn, Sheila Holland. Thank you guys for being here tonight.
Hey, hello already, and get your questions ready. We'll be coming at you soon. I'm going to be doing a bio here for Rick in just a second. We want to thank everybody who has been out to the Antican Hall. We want to again give a birthday wish out to Jamie Collier. We had her out there Friday as we did some investigations and had some birthday cupcakes for her. And then, of course, Saturday night, we had the Fearless Ones. Doogie and Jason were out there, and they just put on an excellent event. Billy and myself were out there also. But cold, but it was a super night, and I'll be looking for them to do another event out there. I'm talking to them now about the possibilities of coming back and getting another event in here shortly. So look for that. We'd love to have them out there. Let me get in here and get Rick Warner in here. I'll give you his bio real quick. Rick has had a lifetime interest in UFOs in the paranormal field since he was a child, including his own experiences of sighting a UFO, as well as experiencing several paranormal ghostly visitations. Rick earned a certificate as a certified field investigator through the Mutual UFO Network, which is MUFON. Today, Rick is known as a UFO researcher and a field investigator, and is the founder and executive director and director of investigations for the Extraterrestrial Research Center, or ERC. He is also a member of the Phantom Detectives, a paranormal investigation group, which he currently holds the title of the Director of Client Relations, Lead Investigator, and Technical Manager. Rick is also the U.S. ambassador to the Italian UFO Federation. We've got to ask him about that, or FUI. He also has appeared on several radio shows and podcasts, as well as doing a TV docurama series called The Unstoppables. And we'll ask him about that tonight, too. So we can follow Rick on several websites. You can see it on our promos and everything else. He is at www.erc2explore.com. and www.phantomdetectives.org, and also at Federal Liaison. Well, just look at that one because my Italian is not good. So hopefully Rick's Italian is a lot better than mine, I'm
Here you
sure.
go, guys. Better start to talk Yoda.
That's it. Going to the Yoda land. But let's get Rick on here, ladies and gentlemen. We want to welcome Rick Warner to the show. Give him a big hand. Hey, Rick, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. Hey, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be on board with you guys. I'm really looking forward to the show. And thank you for the wonderful introduction, man. I mean, you covered everything. It was wonderful.
well, thank you. And you've got a lot of stuff going on. You've been involved for a long time. So what we'll be doing tonight is trying to cover all that and answer some questions and so forth, because we'll drum up some pretty good questions for you. Okay. The UFO field I've spent a long time in, and including the paranormal field. So it's just it's a pleasure to have like-minded people here, and especially someone who is starting to do their own research, getting away from those major areas out there. You're in Delaware, but you're covering other areas, correct?
Well, yeah, here's the deal. I mean, when I was with MUFON at the time as a certified field investigator, I was just working on cases that were in the state of Delaware. And now, basically, so the organization that I'm one of the founders of, which is, as mentioned, ERC, Extraterrestrial Research Center, we're not trying to compete with MUFON in any way, because, I mean, they have, as you already know, hundreds of investigators all over the United States, and also in other countries as well. And, to be able to cover the whole U.S., I mean, you got to have a lot of field investigators to be able to do that. So our website and the ERC organization primarily, rather than focusing on we're not trying to compete with MUFON in any way, and we're not so rather than investigate every single case that comes in, I just pick certain chosen cases that I feel are worthy of investigating. And then it says that right there when they go to, they use a special form, which is actually a form that I created on Google, one of Google's forms. And they can do a sighting report there by answering the questions. And then it says right there on the website that, only certain cases will be selected from that. So primarily what we do is more to create an awareness about the field of ufology, and also have educational material. We have a full UFO glossary that people can learn from. We have, different videos and things like that they can watch. We also have some of the some research and things like that that's going on in the field of ufology. So it's more based on creating an awareness in the field and investigating a few cases there at the same time.
I think that's the way to start. That's the way to do it, because people need to become more aware, and they need to have the good places to be able to go to see it. Because you can see a lot of sightings on MUFON. You never hear what happens. You don't hear a lot about it. And the people who are allowed to, like yourself, who are wanting to inform people, give them a glossary, do those things about UFOs and extraterrestrials, it's very important, And
yes.
A lot of times there are a lot of what we call the lights in the sky type of cases that are really, you can't tell what they are. And it's fine. And I think it's important that you look at the ones that you can handle within a close radius and so forth, and then map out all the ones that you have. And then when you start seeing these other things that happen around you, then you have a really good idea of what's going on in your state and then your area around that area where it is. And it's important that people have someplace else to go where they can actually sit down and talk to somebody like you and get a little bit more informed and know that you're going to be there and you're going to be the investigator that's going to stay with them and help them answer the questions that they're in their mind. Because
that's right.
You know how many times these individuals see a lot more. Sometimes you find that out. Do you see that certain people kind of have visitations more often or see UFOs more often than others?
You know, I've heard that a few times that, you know, that happens. And a lot of times things that people see, you know, could be explained to, you know, what they think is a possible like UFO or some type of extraterrestrial craft, if you want to call it that.
Yep.
You know, they'll think, okay, that's what it is, when, you know, it could be a star, it could be a planet, or, you know, other things like a drone or a paper lantern or, you know, many different things, or weather related kind of event, you know. So, and sometimes the things that they think they keep seeing is the things that could be explained, but they're just seeing it over again, you know.
Right. Exactly. It happens. Yeah.
And I will say this, you know, when I first got started in my training, I will say this, I got very good training through MUFON. I think that their training classes is about the best you can get. And originally when I got all this, because I remember when I was looking into joining a local chapter where, you know, we would meet once a month at a library and talking to the state director on the phone, I'm thinking to myself, because he's telling me, you know, hey, you know what? I talked to my neighbors about different cases. I mean, things without, of course, giving away the witnesses' names and their address. But, you know, and they'll think, he says, yeah, they all think that I'm crazy. So I don't really talk to my neighbors. So before I even became an investigator, I'm thinking, okay, is that something I'm going to be up against? Everybody's going to think I'm nuts. And also, is it going to be that all the investigators are around me, my peers are all going to be saying, yep, everything you see, yep, that's a UFO, that's a UFO. And I found out that that's not the case at all. And one of the things that I like, you know, learning through MUFON is that, you know, it's important that every case is investigated accurately to present good data, and also, you know, to get the best outcome. You know, every case deserves a thorough investigation, rather than just kind of like saying, well, I think that probably is a flying saucer, that probably is an alien spacecraft. You know, try to use a lot of tools that are available for investigators and get all the data, and then, you know, put everything together before you just throw something out there and say, yeah, that's definitely a UFO, you know.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to, you know, it's amazing and it's funny. I have seen so much stuff, and I, you know, even through, we still are debunking, we still seek the truth, we still want to know the stuff we need to know. And there has been a lot of things, as we were talking a little bit beforehand, there's been a lot of things that have been hidden by the government through years and years of everything else. And we do know that. Do you believe that there are vehicles out there that are government that would be, that if we saw one, we would consider it a UFO?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I was asking if you believe that our government has things and has remanufactured or re-engineered a craft that would be similar to a UFO and is using it currently right now in our skies, and that would fool most people because they're not aware that it's out there.
You know, I think it's definitely a possibility, but, you know, with all the evidence that's out there, and then you can't just look at what's happening in the U.S., but you also have to go outside and look at, you know, European countries and the Middle East and Asian countries and things like that, what they have. So, you know, And the fact that, the government and the military has been known to reverse engineer, devices and machines and things like that to try to figure out, what is this made out of? What kind of metal is this?
Right.
And how it was made and all that kind of stuff. And there's a company, and I'm trying to remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I think it's called Battelle, I think it is, that, and I've actually visited their website, and they have ads up there where they're looking for people that could do reverse engineering. And apparently that was one of the companies a long time ago, I guess they've been around a while, that they felt, some reverse engineering took place on what they thought, what the people had claimed that some alien vessels or vehicles were taken there, and that they wanted to reverse engineer this and find out, how does it fly, what's it made out of, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that that's stuff out there, but at the same time, I try to look at it like, okay, if you look at the textbooks, like, how many, it'll show your basic planets out there. Okay. You line up a
right.
And then, before that, there was never even any exoplanets, and then came the exoplanets. And now, you have, the astronomers, the scientists are saying, there's millions of planets out there that haven't even been discovered. And when people are looking, from, like, I know where we're at, I haven't really seen it personally, but there's places and parts of the world where you can look up at, at night, and you could see the Milky Way galaxy up in the sky.
Yeah. And
somebody might be looking at it and they're thinking, oh, wow, look up there. That would be kind of cool to be up there, without realizing we're in it. Our planet is in the Milky Way galaxy. That's it. Yeah. So, and if you think of something like the Milky Way galaxy, I mean, every tiny, like, little dot that you see, I mean, that's like millions
could be a
of
life. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's to just think with all the planets out there, especially like with Mars and things like that. I mean, scientists, using the rover and different things like that, and mapping the planet, and seeing that, channels where they could tell that there had been water there at one time on the planet, or like, lakes of water, that sort of thing.
Right.
So it kind of makes you think that, if there's water on other planets and other, there's a good possibility of other living things. And they found, like microorganisms and bacteria that grows, why couldn't there be extraterrestrials that are from other planets,
Yeah. Yeah. I asked you before on the case, you're also doing abduction cases also, correct?
Well, like I said, yeah, I mean, I've only done one abduction case. As a matter of fact, it's a fairly fresh case. So the case hasn't been given a disposition yet or completed. So I'm still kind of in the middle of it. But yeah, I find it definitely very interesting, doing with the abduction cases and looking at different marks that could be on people's bodies, from, implanted devices to little transmitters, things that have been picked up on x-rays that, where people all of a sudden they're going to a radiologist, and the x-ray technician or saying, hey, did you know that there's we could see, like, there's a little, we found something that's by your neck or by your thumb, there's a little thing that looks like the size of a piece of rice or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then they take this thing out and find out that it's got a membrane around it that they can't even cut through it with a knife, with a scalpel or anything, because it's such a thick membrane. And that you could scan people that have these things, and they'll pick up EMF readings,
Exactly. We could do that it's under the skin. And you're going to also use black lights if you're there early. I always tell my abductees, don't take a shower until I get there, because sometimes there's a residue that will be picked up with a black light. You can actually pick it up with a black light. But EMF is definitely a very unique thing when you're looking at some people's something in their hand, something like that, or in their arm. Sometimes you can actually feel it, and then it will move deeper into the skin. It will seem like it will run away from you, and
Yeah.
it's very interesting. And some of these people's marks are just horrendous. And as I was saying back in the green room, it's kind of like these people become an ongoing case because you really deal with them continually because most of them are going to have more experiences. They're also going to have a lot of more questions, and you have to bring them all through it to help them out as much as you can because it's really there, And I've had a lot of work with that and my own experiences within that side. So
I could imagine. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty. It is a great honor to be able to help people, and there's a lot of people out there right now that are doing that, and I'm glad to see that you are also doing your part to be able to track down and follow up on UFO cases in your area and do it with the ERC, and I hope it's really continues to be a great thing. Now, you're also been a paranormal investigator, also, which is
Yes.
which is really a great thing because I love people that do different parts. It's all intertwined to me. Do you agree with that?
I do. I definitely do. And the other thing for me is even because, I just love to investigate, and that's one of the things why I became a UFO investigator. I would and I even said, you know what? I think UFO investigators, even though I know it's different when you're talking about crime scenes and all that, but I think that they would make great detectives if they're good at investigating. And I think, detectives that are good at what they do would make good UFO investigators because there's a lot of like similarities and stuff like that,
Right.
And
They're
you're interviewing the witness.
Everything's always after the fact.
Exactly. Yeah. So this guy matter of fact, a guy had found me on LinkedIn, and he, he's a fairly new team. He had been with a couple teams as a paranormal investigator, and I guess they had a few falling outs and stuff like that. He was with one team where, there's a lot of drama going on, and he just kind of
happens a lot right now.
yeah. And so, and he wrote to me a couple times, and we chatted on LinkedIn, and he's like, "Hey, how, would you like to come as part of our team?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I'll tell you what, man, I definitely like to come out to an investigation and try it out."
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of cool because when I got there, I just felt like I fit right in. And my very first case I got to investigate with them was the Betsy Rock's house, which is in downtown Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of old history there and that kind of stuff. And we didn't really get that much time to investigate. So we really never even had time to set up the DVR and set up cameras. But we came in with all our devices.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember reading somewhere about the basement, about some lady went with her daughter in the basement and was picked up doing she had her tape recorder on and she was doing an EVP session. For people that you don't know, basically you're trying to get the spirit, you ask questions and you try to get the spirits to communicate with you, and be able, and their voice or something, a sentence or a word or something that would be captured on your digital recorder. And so anyhow, like, I'm going back and playing this stuff that was on there, and also, doing the, I'm trying to remember if I had my AM FM suite, but actually I think I just had my recorder. But anyway, so I'm playing it back, right, with the headphones on and everything, very carefully listen to the sound. And I hear this like really deep growling, like I just, coming out of the basement. And I thought, my first thing was, I thought, well, if it was a human that passed away or, a ghost, if you want to call it a ghost, it doesn't seem likely that they would be growling like that. I mean, it almost sounded kind of like an unhuman, horrible sound that was captured, So, being able to get evidence like that, it's very, very compelling.
It is compelling. And let me tell you something, when you actually get the opportunity to hear that or hear it with your own ears disembodiedly, it can be pretty disturbing. We get the opportunity to hear that quite a lot.
Yeah. And I can honestly say I haven't felt anything slap me on the back, no red marks or burn marks on my body, or
a little bit of time.
Push me down
yeah. Just wait.
Yeah. Which
I can see how it can get pretty scary. Huh?
Which part of the field did you get into first?
Well, it was as a UFO investigator first, and then after that, I started, getting involved with as a paranormal investigator. And it's also interesting that you guys are involved in both too. So, and I think a lot of that just comes from, wanting to be able to be not just interested in the paranormal and ufology, but also try to help solve cases and try to help to get people answers at the same time.
That's correct. And that's what we love to do. We love to help people. We love to do that. And that's our mission. And we've been, the team that we are with currently right now has been around for a long time. And as I said, it's kind of like a family. We have everybody that we know what we're doing. I shouldn't say that. When we get together and we walk in, we don't have to say, do this, do that. We're just doing it, and
everybody's got their own role and everybody knows what to do.
And we do it, and we come up with a lot of good evidence. We have a lot of good things. And I'm glad to hear that you haven't been, so you're saying you haven't been touched or you haven't had any of those experiences yet?
I can only say I haven't had that. I think one of the scariest places I went into was a place called the Selma Mansion, which was in Pennsylvania. And there's 3 floors there. Yeah. And, sometimes you come across these, places, and I guess it's just like meeting people. Like, you meet someone who's really nice in real life, and they're polite and friendly. And then you meet somebody that is just a real ass. They're just a real jerk. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think it's the same with, when you're dealing with the paranormal, you might have a spirit that just has just a really malevolent, just a bad attitude or a malevolent spirit, because sometimes you might be dealing with just a spirit of a person that passed on, but maybe they were during their life, when they were alive, maybe they were just a very angry and a very bitter person. And now it's carried over into the spiritual realm. And, and sometimes, you get some spirits that are very welcoming and they're happy to have you there to come in and investigate. And some they'll just tell you on your, EVP session or on your spirit box, get out, I don't want you there,
Yeah, exactly. Well, we get it both ways, it's funny. We always, Billy, what do you always say about, if you're an evil bastard when you're
if you're an asshole in life, you're going to probably be an asshole in death.
Yeah,
that's right. And, exactly.
And we get to deal with them every once in a while, but it's also, you have to remember something. It's just like we as people, spirits are actually energy of a person. And look, we don't always wake up on the sunny side of the bed every day, and I've been in, I help run and caretake a paranormal facility here in Kentucky, and a historical site that's been around since 175 years now.
Wow, that's cool.
And I'm there a lot. And some days you walk in and I'll go, "Hi, Bear, how you doing?" And you hear it disembodied, or "Good morning," all that stuff. And then again, I can walk in and they'll say, as soon as I walk in, say, "Hi, how's everybody doing?" "Get out."
Yeah.
It's
all.
It's
That's what
all.
happened in this Selma Mansion, because we're in there. I mean, we had there was this room called the doll room, and we're going in there and they have all these dolls and it's very creepy. And you're thinking, one of those dolls has to be like good friends with Annabelle, right? You know?
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
Chucky.
I mean,
Chucky.
who would think that the Raggedy Ann doll, the Annabelle doll, you look at it, some kid thinking, oh, what a cute little doll, knowing that tried to strangle some guy or something, and then it ended up in the museum over there, the Warrens and all that. But yeah, so, you know, we walk in this room, we see so many objects, these dolls, and we're thinking, you know, one or more of these things, there could be a spirit attached to one of them, you know. And, you know, we go through and, you know, we're asking questions. We're using the dowsing rods and that kind of thing, because we've had very good success with the dowsing rods, very good responses in that. Probably the most, I would think, out of any paranormal investigation equipment that we've used.
Uh-huh.
And then, you know, coming to find out, you know, there was a guy that was a murderer that was in the room that we're in there. And to tell that he was
Really?
a very angry spirit, you know, and our psychic was picking up that there, you know, was a lot of negative energy, angry energy that was there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we get quite a lot of that kind of energy. We love the dowsing rods. Also, they're a great tool, especially if you're out looking for certain things. I mean, they will be able to. They can identify. You know, a spirit can talk to you through it. They can answer your questions. They can pick up. You can pick up a grave. You can find out which way the head's leading. You can tell if it's a male or a female. It gives you so much ability, and it. You know, certain people, not everybody can use them. Only certain people that are well enough grounded can be able to pick it up and be able to use it and use it the correct way. And
yeah, it's interesting you say that. I've seen that happen. There are more responsible with some people than others.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. They will be dead and down. There's a certain groups that and you know, we use it, and certain ones don't do well with them, and other ones that can do really well with them. And we also go in with our bodies. We really take what we feel, that energy, and we're careful with it. We listen to our bodies. You guys do the same thing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets to be, you know, investigation. If you were going to give, you know, a new team on a start right now, what information would you give them about paranormal investigation?
A new team just starting out, maybe giving them good positive feedback. I would say, number one, you know, when you go into an investigation, you know, the first thing is you know, interview the witness, find out from, you know, why does the witness want this their place investigated. I realize there's some venues where, you know, they've always, you know, people come and pay to do a paranormal investigation and stuff like that. I'm not really that crazy about that kind of thing. And honestly, myself, I mean, I would prefer going into an area that's been untapped, that no other paranormal team has been in before. But I would tell a paranormal investigation, I mean, you know what, just be honest with yourself, be honest with your findings with each other, you know, and don't just like make up things to make it sound good for, you know, the people that are around you, you know, because if you do that, you're not being an honest paranormal investigator. You know, you want to go in with the mindset that sometimes, you know, you may find things and other things you may not. You may come in and, you know, not find any evidence of any paranormal activity. And as much as you want to be able to tell the person that owns the property and say, hey, you know, you want to say, yeah, you know, we found that there were a couple ghosts over here and a couple ghosts over here. You know, you can't just tell them that and without being able to present that evidence or have some kind of evidence that you came with to arrive at a good conclusion.
Oh yeah.
Now, as far as your team goes, your paranormal team, does it take part in the ERC program too?
No, actually they don't.
So you're actually running two different teams?
Yeah, I run that organization. And, you know, I just recently, when I got in with Phantom Detectives, by the way, it's the name of the paranormal investigation group I'm with. I took the place of one girl that was the lead investigator, and she had to leave, just going to college and all that, moving to a different state. So, I took her place, and and I'm the guy that does all the interviewing for the clients. So what's nice is I was able to take my interviewing skills that I've learned, through being with MUFON and that kind of thing, and being able to use those skills as a paranormal investigator. I'm sure you've done the same thing, where you've taken your knowledge as an investigator and a researcher, and you're able to cross those attributes that you have into paranormal investigations.
Yeah. When we put it, my life and the things that I've been doing, since you had said that about your childhood, I'm going to be asking you that too.
Yeah.
But my life, I have been involved in the paranormal in some manner or another for a long, long time. I was very blessed in '76 to be able to meet Hans Holzer, interview him, and he took me on an investigation, and I got to do an investigation with him, and I've been doing it ever since. And then the UFO field came also back. I did a lot of research on UFOs beforehand, because being an abductee at the age of 9 and not having any place to go or to do, and being hushed up quite a lot about certain things with the family and everything else. I was the person that, the super black sheep in the family.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about.
We're still waiting on the book to come out.
Or many books. Yeah.
But there are, that is wonderful experience, and we just continue to grow with it and find more and more of it. And people ask me, how many investigations do you think you've done? And I mean, I can't even give you a number. I mean, it would be in the thousands. And the same thing with how many people have I helped in residential homes? I can't even tell you. I don't, keep track. I'd have to go back through all the records. I had 636 gigabyte lost at one point, and I'm up to 4 terabyte now on going through a 4 terabyte system on one. So
yeah, exactly.
We got quite a lot of stuff involved in it, but it's all. And the great thing about it is wanting to help others, and we do. That's one of the things. Paranormal teams come to us quite a lot and ask a lot of questions and everything else, and that's one of the things we love to do. So we just love to do that. We go to pay investigations. We have done for a while. We do a lot of events. We help out some of them. The place that I am affiliated with is a pay location. It's
the trifecta.
Yeah, it is. It's got UFOs, strange creatures, and hauntings, and it will bend you sideways. So we got to invite you guys down to have a shot at going through the hall and seeing what you can experience out there.
Matter of fact, Nick Rolfe was there. Nick Rolfe was there filming an episode of his Death Walkers. And he wasn't there, 15 minutes?
Yep.
And had a UFO experience.
Yeah, outside, right above the hall. So
it's interesting.
Hall, where that's at. I don't know. What was it? 58 Bear?
55. When you're talking about Kelly, Kentucky, is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Little Green Men. Yep. 55.
One thing I want to say too, as far as and I don't know how you guys feel on this, but I know, and I talked it over with my team. We all kind of feel the same way. Where, if we ever got picked up to have our own, TV show as paranormal investigators, now I wouldn't have a problem as far as because you're doing different takes and that sort of thing. And I was in the film business for probably about 4 years, mostly as a background actor, but I did these small speaking parts, and I was in some independent films and TV commercials and feature films, all that stuff. So I've had a lot of experience behind the camera. But the thing is that if they said, look, they wanted me to just, because some of you've heard some of these reality shows that they're fake, they're not truthful and things like that. And I think that I could never do that, me personally, like just go ahead and lie for the ratings and lie and say, hey, you know what? I just felt something push me slap me on the back and push me down the stairs when it never happened. Because I wouldn't feel right about that, doing that. Now, I have no problem playing up emotions where if you see something, did you see that? Look at the temperature on this thermal gun, or or look at the EMF readings on this. It's crazy, and I could see playing that up to where you want to don't kind of be like real humdrum and boring, but for the audience, you want to play up a level of excitement. So that I would be okay with, as long as it's going to be an accurate and truthful investigation, not making things up. Because then, to me, if I got to lie and make up things, it takes away from my whole purpose as why I want to be a UFO investigator, or I want to be paranormal investigator.
Exactly. With so many of them, and I've seen a lot of ones that have been in the business and out of the business and so forth, and Nick had spent a lot of time of it, and Nick's changed a lot over the years, and we had an interesting conversation for about 2 hours, and then we had him on the show here, and we did a nice radio show, and he's really opened up to a lot of different other things, and that's important. And that's what as we grow as people, you see a lot of different things and you change. And one of the bad things about it is, I would never sell my soul to a TV show because of the fact that they want to run it. They're going to tell you what to do, what to say. Hey, if you don't get any evidence, we're going to do this, or we're going to do this, and this is going to be the story. No, I want to show the location. I want to show what we're getting. We want to talk about the real meat and potatoes of it. And, a lot of the people that I have seen and know personally have come out of those experiences and are better investigators and are really good people because they're like, going, nope, can't do that. Don't let anybody tell you what to do or what to say because it's,
because then you're being paid to lie. It's you're lying for money,
Yeah, well, not even that. I mean, even if you're lying for your own reputation to be something else, I see a lot of people video and doing YouTube videos and all this other kind of stuff. I'm like, what is the point? If you think you're going to get on TV, you can just kiss your butt because, that's a very select few people that do get on it. And as the sides go back to the other side, there is not going to be a lot of call for that in the future because, as you can see, that's starting to wane away and it's going into the other directions. There may be more into the UFO field or some of these other things that may be coming up. But, nobody wants to see an old man like me on TV. Sorry, John.
Well, you know what? I would say you're so short there, my friend, because I see a lot of these shows I've seen, Gold Rush and, these other type of shows where they're out looking for dinosaurs or looking for, minerals, certain things, and you'll see guys that are kind of like, like you guys are kind of laid back, easy going. But they're like on a mission. They're on a mission to find something.
Oh yeah, we're always on a mission to find something. Billy, I don't know if he was. I mean, I there for a minute he said dinosaur. I thought he was calling me a dinosaur. Oh my god!
Don't you just wake up sometimes in the morning? You feel like a freaking dinosaur, right?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm getting into the chat room. Hi, chat room. Sorry, we've kind of ignored you for a little bit. And Frankie Lynn has got a question here that says, has Frank noticed a pattern of where sightings are any geographical or topographical reason for more sightings in certain areas than others? Great question.
Yeah. Actually, I have. and it's pretty much known. Take it with MUFON for an example. They keep track of the data where the most sightings come from. What states, what are the hot spots, that sort of thing. For an example, like the state of California is very hot for UFO sightings. Florida, New York. What are some other ones? I know there's several out there. Sometimes Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
And that could change from time to time. But I really believe that there are some areas that tend to have more activity than other areas. I mean, myself personally, living in the state of Delaware. Well, Delaware is a small state,
Yep.
and we don't really get a lot of sightings out here, to be honest. There are some, but not a lot. You go all of a sudden next door to Pennsylvania and New Jersey there, in 3.5 hours from here, 4 hours for me. It's like,
Mhm.
you're in New York, so,
Yeah.
and to me, it's like, and they've had some decent sightings there too, so, and then sometimes I think there's like certain areas where that'll be more popular, where it could be like a military base of some sort, where there's more sightings seen, or
Mhm.
it could be more sightings around a huge lake of water, where a lot of people have seen lights in the sky and that sort of thing. So I do
Lake
believe
Erie,
that
all the Great Lakes areas have picked
yeah,
up a lot of them. All that area has. What do you think about the 37 parallel? We happen to be on the 37 parallel in Kentucky, known as the UFO highway, plus everything else imaginable, all the way around the band of the world. The 37 parallel has been known for its paranormal and for its UFO activity. Sometimes it's even referred to the UFO highway. Um, there are certain things I believe, crystals, geos, certain things in the ground that I think can attract them. I think that certain magnetic ley lines are interesting to them. I agree with you on that 100%. I also think that it's very unusual, like Kentucky, and just like you said, Delaware, they don't have very many sightings, but per capita, the amount of sightings that we have here in Kentucky put us in the top 10 of UFO sightings every year
yeah,
because of, even though you don't have a lot of, if you're in LA and or New York and that, if you're not getting 100 cases, then all those people are seeing. You have more eyes to see them, more time to do it, and everything else. And in the rural areas, you don't. But something does this flyby thing. I wanted to ask you something that I've noticed in as I'm doing cases sometimes, and I used to be able to say, it's going to start out here in the Northeast, and you're going to have a hit here in the Northeast, and then it's going to come into Florida area, and then it's going to be in the West, and then all of a sudden it's going to hit the central area of the country, and you'll see a certain thing. Have you ever seen that kind of pattern before, or have you ever took a chance to look at it?
well, yeah. Sometimes like especially with things that are seen to be flying in the sky, regardless if it's been, sometimes, things that are seen up in the sky could be classified as a man-made object. But let's say if it is some kind of extraterrestrial craft or, it's a UAP, unidentified phenomenon, then, somebody might see something that's they even think that's in their state, and because it's close to another state and it's farther away, it might not even be in your state, and it's actually crossing over to another state. It's farther away than what you realize, and you think it's closer to you. And then sometimes, especially if you have, an extraterrestrial vehicle that can travel, in the snap of your fingers at incredible speeds that we don't, our fighter jets and things like that, we don't have the technology to fly at the speeds that some of these crafts have seen moving. So imagine like, them taking off and flying incredible speeds. It's not going to take them that long to get work their way into another state somewhere or into another place.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
I used to look at it as saying, well, maybe they're using a portal or a wormhole or something like that, and it's more available at one point than it is another. That's why you see them hit a certain area, and then they'll go to another area, and then the next thing you know, they're in this area.
oh
And
yeah.
I don't know if that's it's just something I'm throwing out there. That I don't know if you believe in that or not. I'm pretty strong in the portals and UFOs. Seen quite seen some
Well, it's funny
activity.
you mentioned portal, and I'll just quickly bring up a case here. But there was a case in Chicago that I was investigating, and matter of fact, the guy's a paranormal investigator. He's been doing this for a while. So he goes out to the cemetery out there in Chicago, and it's kind of a hot spot for him and this lady friend of his, because they captured a lot of paranormal activity, and they've captured like hair pulling and somebody tapped them on the shoulder and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, they go in with permission, of course.
Yeah.
And they set up a camera tree of 3 different cameras, and they got them in different parts and stuff like that. And, and they have, they'll have some light out there, and they got their cameras running, trying to pick up activity and things like that. And while they're out there, I mean, I interviewed the 2 witnesses, the main witness A, and then witness B was the lady. And to hear, what happened with them. There were 6 other people that were there. They invited his friends, but I did interview these 2 people. I didn't interview the other witnesses. This is all done over the phone, by the way. And, and they were saying that these witnesses were saying that, as they're conducting a paranormal investigation, they could, there's this one area that they always go into, and they could feel these spirits sometimes tap them on the shoulder. And the lady said that sometimes she'll get her hair, something pulling on the back of her hair, and you turn around and there's nothing there. And there was this one instance where she has a flashlight, and she turned it on, and she did this 3 different times, turned the flashlight on and off.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as she turned the flashlight on, the light actually bounced right back to her face. She said that's never happened before. She's trying to figure out how that happened. And then there's one part in the video footage, because the witness sent me the footage in the regular speed and also slow motion. And what I did is I went frame by frame, and I captured the photos from the video, and you could see that in one part you see a ghostly-like image that didn't so much look like a person, but it was almost looked like if somebody drew a cutout shape of a ghostly image, and you could see it when the light's on, and the thing's kind of like walking across, and then when they turn the flashlight off, you don't see it anymore. When the flashlight's on, okay, now it's illuminated, so I could see it again. But to the next to that, to the right of that, there was this, what appears to be, it starts out kind of like an egg-shaped object, and it starts morphing itself into different shapes. And then there was this one point where you see a couple of these it looked like these, white kind of lights or something like that going in there. Mm-hmm. And, because of the fact that, when you have, when you're outdoors and you have a light on, you're always going to attract flying insects.
Right.
And a lot of times those flying insects, people think that they're orbs when they're actually bugs.
Yeah.
So,
right.
So when I see these things flying in, I wasn't certain if that could have been an insect or something that flew at this thing. Mm-hmm. But what's really bizarre is that you could see this thing morph itself into different shapes, and it was kind of like twisting and just moving, almost like if you think of the movie The Blob, this big blob thing.
Right, exactly.
And so, I investigated the case, and I'm saying to myself, well, there's definitely paranormal activity there that I feel that was established looking at the video footage. And the thing with the, the portal-looking thing, I could definitely tell, no doubt, there's a weird portal thing. That it's not a tree, and it's not an object, a man-made object, but it's something morphing into different shapes. It's like, what is this thing? And you can clearly see it, and it's a pretty good size, maybe like 5 feet in diameter. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't say for sure. I couldn't say that it was an extraterrestrial type of object or extraterrestrial portal. I couldn't say that's what it was, but I couldn't say that rule it out either and say, you know, it
Right.
was or it wasn't. So I think it was definitely a good possibility that it could have been extraterrestrial in nature. But you know, but at least the fact of you're thinking like when something ghostly in nature crosses over to something extraterrestrial, you know, the two are crossing paths together, you know, makes you think about it.
Oh, well, I'll tell you one thing. We've thought more about it. We've seen it firsthand, and I'll explain it to you a little bit.
Yeah.
Just saying some,
I was thinking the same thing.
yeah, saying some things to some of the people out there. As I said, hey, Frankie, Lynn, Sheila Holland, how you doing? Tawana Bear, Bob Burnell, thank you for coming in. How you guys do? How you doing tonight? He wanted to say hey to Rick, and he says that he is also been a witness in Redstone, New Hampshire, of a UFO sighting, telephone pole about 25-foot height in diameter and hovered silently over a telephone pole. And then he also mentioned something about his uncle was in the Air Force before it was the Air Force, which was called the Army Air, and that is correct. It was part of the Army. And it was stationed in Alaska, and told me he saw round alien ships that had been recovered. So great, excellent.
That's cool. That's definitely cool.
Bob's also mentioning Brendan Versey. How you doing, my friend? Good to have you in here tonight. Cheryl Gibson, hello. How's everybody doing? My mouse and my thing is not going there. Lori Kern Thurman, hello. How are you? And let's see here. I'm just trying to go through as fast as I can if I can get things going. William Nighthawk, hello, sir. Welcome to the show. Let's see who golly, we got a whole mess of them in here. But at the same time, I'm looking for questions. You see any other questions in here?
I got a couple of them here.
All right, fire them away.
Lori Thurman, she wanted to know, has it helped validate these sightings since the government has had to open up classified documents stating there are UFOs? I was actually thinking about that myself, you know, since declassification. What is your thought on that? And why do you think they've only, the few clips that they put out, why do you think they've only used those clips?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You know what I think it is? I think that they're covering up more than what they really want to tell you. I think a lot of it is they don't want to incite fear. And if you look at a lot of these documents that have been released through the Freedom of Information Act as declassified documents, you know, you see a lot of like black marker and stuff, and you're looking at it, you're trying to read it, and you're like, well, you know what, man, why don't you just buy a giant black marker and just wash the whole darn document, you know? So, but, you know, they're clearly, you know, marking out stuff that they don't want you to read. And, you know, and naturally, too, I could see, you know, things like, you know, certain locations of people's names that you want to keep anonymous, you know, wanting to black through that. But, you know, but I feel that the government, you know, they're I think that, you know, what they're telling people is one thing of what maybe they actually believe. So, you know, let's downplay everything like it's not a big deal, or, you know, could there be FEOs? Maybe. We're not going to rule it out. We're not going to say there is or there isn't. Let's kind of downplay it a little bit, you know. But I think we've gotten to an era now that, I mean, you know, people aren't stupid, you know, and when you go all the way back to Project Blue Book and even before that, of sightings that have taken place throughout the world for a long period of time.
Oh, yeah.
And also, you know, the government conducting secret investigations on UFOs. So why would the government spend the money to conduct secret investigations on UFOs that they didn't want people to know about it, if they didn't think that there wasn't something there? Like, why would you just waste that time and that government money doing that if you really didn't think that there could be something there.
Right.
And then it's just, and then, it's really easy. A lot of times, government's really good at covering up stuff, even sometimes, hiding stuff that they do that they shouldn't be doing. They're good at sweeping stuff, covering things up.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with you. One of the things that I always kind of think about is, when you see those redacted documents and everything, you do start thinking about some of the other things that are going on. And, when we just hear the stuff that came out from 2017 from Lou Elizondo and Blink 52 went into the other thing, and I'm sorry, it's escaping my name right now. My mind. But, when they started coming back and they're starting to talk about these Tic Tacs and they're starting to say, alien threat, alien threat, alien threat, that always gives me a bad feeling. I hate that, and it sounds like they're pushing an agenda.
Well, I mean, what is human nature?
Right.
Human nature is to weaponize everything.
Of course. And it's very beneficial to them.
And I'm sorry, but it's true. We want to weaponize everything.
Yep. Well, it's money to them, and it's also, if you look at some of the patents they already have out there, and that's a bizarre thing. Just go through the patents, and you'll find out more about UFOs probably than anything you want to see, because all the other redacted things are some kind of technology. Corso was when he put that book out and did that, even though it got some different things. And we have investigators like Mike Schrott out there now talking about the vehicles that he has personally seen and also follows the government has that are re-engineered. And he says they'll have rusty bolts on them and everything else. And I remember seeing a video of him not too long ago. He was saying that if you're out on a Thursday night and you see a triangular craft go by and you can see it up close enough to see the rivets in it, it's probably ours. So I don't know if you heard that or not, but there's a lot of different things that happen out here in this world. And that's why we try to be, that's why we have the investigators we have.
Well, my whole thing on the whole disclosure thing is, since there are so many people out there with these, everybody's taking pictures. There's closed circuit TVs everywhere, security cameras everywhere. I think it's to the point now where they're not going to be so quick to deny everything, but I don't think they're going to turn around and backtrack and admit to everything that they've lied about or covered up.
That's right.
It's to the point now where they get, everybody's got, video cameras out, everybody's looking at the skies, everybody's looking into dark buildings and everything else. And I just think we're getting to the point now where, okay, well, we can't discredit that because somebody got it and it's already been viewed by 1 million people.
Exactly. And here's the other thing that I have a problem with. Okay, when you have a lot of credible witnesses, because, truthfully, I mean, you're going to maybe have, some witnesses that are not so credible. Let's say like you're investigating a case, you're interviewing a witness, and they're telling you about, I was hanging out with my girlfriend in the backyard. Well, before the sighting event, what happened? Well, we were partying a little bit. We got drunk. We smoked a little weed, and we were both feeling a little bit high, and then they're telling you a story, something they saw. Well, it kind of, then at that point, that might lose some credibility. Maybe they really did see something, but maybe they didn't. When you hear stuff like that, you think, what, maybe, this guy was just tripping on something and was seeing something, and there, and also people's fears can play tricks with them with their imagination, things like that. But when you have credible witnesses like captains of the Air Force and things like that, you know, airline pilots, you know, single engine airplane pilots, stuff like that, military pilots, and they're spotting things, you know, and then you have, like, you know, with the whole Nimitz case thing, with the picture, things like that. I mean, you know, why did you have two guys coming out of a helicopter landing on the what do you call that thing? The Nimitz, the aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
And then demanding that they took their tapes or whatever you call them. They wanted to take their evidence. Why are you confiscating that? You know,
Right.
Makes you think about stuff like that.
Oh, it does. It does. And
you know, the U.S. doesn't want Russia to get it, or China to get it, you know, and vice versa. It's all military. I mean, it's back to weaponizing everything. It's a race. You know, we talk about reverse engineering. What is their purpose for that? It's not to better mankind. We already know that. It's to see who's going to be the bigger kid on the block.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my personal opinion, but I mean, it's human nature. It's what mankind has done forever.
Oh, we have. And then there's other things that there could be other reasons why they don't want to touch you about, because they've been here for a long, long time. There may be, they may have been living on this planet underground for a long period of time. They're good, they're bad, they're different. And
everything we've ever told you was a lie.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. You know
what? I always wondered, maybe you guys could take a stab at this. Okay. So
be careful. We might get you in trouble. You might have helicopters flying around your house.
You know, yeah, exactly. You know, and I just got this book recently. Matter of fact, I think MUFON even had it advertised on their website, and I'm sure you've probably seen it. And it's like a dark cover and it has an alien on it, and it's about different alien species and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I haven't had a chance to get to the book because I got to go through all my other books yet to get to that one. But anyway, so, you know, it's talking about all these different alien species and stuff like that. And some of them I've never even heard before that I'm reading in this book. It's just crazy. All these, I've heard of the Greys and the reptilians, and, you know, and then I'm reading about these other ones in the Nordics and all this. And then there's off branches of one alien species. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, where's that data coming from? Where's that information they're getting from on these different species? Is it people that have been abducted and under hypnosis? They're going through a hypnosis session, and they're saying that, you know, the person they're hypnotizing, that finding out that this person's claiming that it was this particular alien race. I mean, where's this data coming from? What do you guys think about that?
Well, I could shed a little bit of light on it. Back a long time ago, Russia let out a booklet that basically classified the different types of alien species. You download it on a PDF of it. I think I've got one here. I can't remember the dang name of it. It's a weird name. Also, you have to remember something back in the beginning, back in 2003, when they had the Free Press meeting with the Disclosure Project, with Stephen Greer's first around with that. You know, Clifford Stone, God rest his soul, he's a great guy and terrible loss to the UFO community. But Clifford was in UFO recovery. And he, at the time in 2003, says that he classified, that they had classified 57 different alien species. So it's pretty reasonable to think that there are a lot of different sites of them. Now, not all of them are happy-go-lucky. Not all of them have been here and stay here. There are some that are, you know, the Draconian race and which were reptilians and different. The Viral, which is more along the German a part of it and so forth. But there are a lot of nasty beings that are out there, and there's a lot of them that are very malevolent and very helpful. So currently right now we have that battle going on. If you're looking at the things that people don't want to hear about or don't want to say, and the awakening part of it is some of the things that the military and some of these special forces units have been coming through and doing and dealing with a deep underground bases and dumps and other locations. Weird explosions in people's area or hearing loud booms. All that kind of stuff could be related to that. Not all of it's earthquakes and other things like that happening. But there's a lot of things that are being kept away from the public, and it's because they're not ready for it yet either. But, eventually they're going to have to get hit in the head with it, because this stuff has been going on for a long, long time. It goes all the way back to the part where, you're going to Project Paperclip and beyond when all this stuff started happening, and where the CIA, the all of these, even the NSA was involved and started out as a UFO thing from Magic 12 or Magi 12 as it's known now, plus several different names. It's changed by how many people are there and everything else. And it's all been back. All this stuff has come back. You look at the stuff that we hear about of the conspiracy theory stuff and everything else, but most of it's conspiracy fact. It's just that that's how they want to play it. They play it against you as a conspiracy nut. And it's all, most of it's a lot of truth out there. And when you start looking at it, 80 years of this stuff going on, you can imagine what they may have and what they may not have and how much advanced that they are over us. So.
And I think sometimes when I think about, different type of people and what they believe, I mean, you have some people that are just very open-minded about different things, open-minded to paranormal, ghostly events and that sort of thing, and extraterrestrials and possible alien spacecraft and that sort of thing. And then you have some people that are, they just don't flat out believe it because they say, well, if I haven't seen it, then it must not be real. It must not be because I haven't seen it. Maybe, and then you're putting the evidence right in front of them. You're showing them video clips and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now you've seen it because I just showed you the video clip. But then they're still stubborn. Some people are just real stubborn and they're like, well, I know, but I didn't see it myself. They want to be, I want it to fly in my backyard.
Yeah,
well, Rick, that actually leads into one of the questions that we had by Brandon Milkey. He wanted to know why do you think certain individuals are able to see these things more often versus people who never experience anything? Do you think it has something to do with really, consciousness? Or
you know what? I think it's really a good question. I think for some reason it's the same reason why some people that claim that they've been abducted, so they've been, abducted by some aliens, and maybe those cases have been researched and found that there's some credible evidence to what these people are saying. And I believe that there is a lot of credible evidence in a lot of these cases because there's so many of them. And these people that have undergone hypnosis are saying a lot of the same thing. But a lot of times they'll come back and revisit the same people. And it'll carry on into family members and things like that. And I think it's, it's almost like
hereditary.
They select a certain group of people for whatever reason they are. Maybe there's something that they feel is interesting in this particular race or personality that they feel that they want to put under the microscope, examine or research or, whatever you want to call it, So, and obviously, as a lot of UFO experts think, I mean, why are these aliens doing these abductions? And a lot of them feel, and I kind of feel the same thing, is they're conducting experiments on humans. And a lot of it, you hear of the scooping of the skin and things like that and different they're taking skin samples DNA samples, and some experts feel that DNA, they're mixing that with their own alien race to create a half alien, half human type of race.
Correct. Hybrid. A hybrid race.
Hybrid breed, exactly. That's the word, hybrid. Yeah.
You know, and when we're looking at some of the abductees and some we talk about, it's very interesting to me because I've had several of them who have said, you know, after it's happened to them and they have seen this and they go back and they're always very apologetic for the people that they laughed at without saying this. They were all the kind of people you were talking about earlier. Baloney, there ain't no aliens or nothing like this. And then all of a sudden, one of them gets abducted and has terrible things, and it affects them so much. It pulls their whole life away because it cleans the slate, because everything that you have been told is a lie at that point. You know, for your whole life, everything that you've gone through, once you've had these experiences, it changes you immediately. And one of the most things about it is they're very apologetic, you know, extremely apologetic. I was looking here in the, there's two questions here that I'll talk about. Thank you. William Nighthawk, he talks about portals can open up in water, trees, and forest, and 100% as sure as can be. And very important part, they can open up anywhere that they are, and sometimes they move, sometimes they're stationary, and you know, we have seen portals, and
you never know what's going to come out of one of them.
That's exactly right. You don't know what's going to come out. You know, they're like a gateway, you know, and who's using it?
Well, it could be a Black Hawk. You know,
exactly. Yeah, and I would say that, you know, I'm sure that the military is using these because just take my word for it.
Yeah.
Sorry about getting choked up on the mic and not being able to get to my silent button, but
that's why I keep a bag of hulls, you know?
Like exactly.
Sometimes I'll get those allergies. My eyes are watering, and then I start coughing.
Oh, yeah.
It gets so bad, sometimes I can't stop, and then I pull out one of those Hull's cough drops. It seems to help a little bit when that time comes.
Hey, have you, Frankie Lynn asks the question, have you ever heard of Patrick Jackson? Patrick Jackson is an author over across the pond there. He wrote Quantum Paranormal. Very, very interesting book. Had him on the show a few times. And for anybody that's listening, I have talked to Patrick, and we're going to have him back. And we'll probably have more of a board to kick back and run different things through. And maybe Rick would like to join us on that. But
yeah, Patrick is actually stirring the field up right now.
Yeah, quite.
He has some very sound theories that ties everything together.
Yeah, it does, and basically saying from the quantum level and other things that UFOs and spheres,
Foo Fighters,
all of that kind of stuff, and it also bleeds into the paranormal, where it goes into a grid formation that these things are communicating back and forth to areas and in certain places. And he's been putting it to the test, and it is quite interesting. And I'll talk to you about it later. And if you'd like to sit on that, I think we're looking for that in mid-February, his time in London. And we're probably going to do a special show on it, probably on a Saturday. And we'll kick that off. But chat room and everyone else out there, you'll know about it because we really enjoyed having Patrick here when he was here. But maybe you'd like to sit in on it, Rick, because once you see and once you hear about it,
you'll be scratching your head.
Yeah, I think
Bear and I both read the book and talked with Patrick, and we both just like, wow, you know, he stepped out of the box. Now,
Yeah.
Rick, we know you're doing UFOs and paranormal hauntings and things like that.
Yes.
Have you stepped into the cryptid field yet?
I can't say that I have. I mean, I think,
Are you open to it?
yeah, I'm definitely open to it. I mean, there's so much stuff out there. I mean, you got your Bigfoot and you got your Loch Ness Monster and, the snowman thing and all that, and other stuff. So there's so much stuff that you could get into. I think the paranormal covers quite an array of subjects other than just, ghosts and unidentified flying objects, or UAPs, if you want to call it that.
Now, have you come across any cases in the UFO field as far as them having claims to Bigfoot too?
You know what? I can't say that I have. I mean, personally, but I will. One thing I want to say this too, because I'm thinking about this case that comes to mind. That there was this case that I investigated, and this lady was retired in the military. She worked at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, where that's where they transport the dead soldiers and stuff, and they bring them to there. So it's like a real popular for that, fallen soldiers that go there. And she was with them for quite a long time, and so when she submitted a case, it was classified as a Category 3 AN anomaly case, Cat 3 case. And when I interviewed her on the phone, she said that, as she explained what happened, it was on a stormy day, and of course, being a UFO investigator, especially coming from a MUFON background like you have as well, there's a lot of tools we have at our disposal, So if somebody tells you, this is the sighting date that this occurred, and and you're interviewing them, well, what's weather like? Okay, well, it was a cloudy day, it started to rain a little bit. You can go back and pull the weather and do the weather history and see what exactly, how many knots the wind was blowing at and what the temperature was. And so it's really, really nice to be able to have, applications to be able to do that with. And so, what happens is she's, this is giving an example of how their fears can play upon them. She's walking her dog out. It was a cloudy day. It looked like it rained, but it didn't rain. And right on a residential street, well, one side of the residential street, there's a big pond, man-made pond. And she's walking her dog, and she goes, "Oh, I see, all these cute little ducks, geese, lined up all up in front of the pond." And she pulls her camera out. She takes some pictures of it. She thinks, "Oh, this is really cool." So I think I'll shoot a few more pictures. Mm-hmm. Well, then her dog gets kind of terrified. Okay, and runs away from her off the leash. Well, the leash came out of her hand. So she went to chase her dog, and her dog ran all the way back to the house. Mm-hmm. So she goes back to her house. She's looking at the photos, right? And she's thinking to herself, okay, she reported that, or what she thought she saw was a giant green reptilian behind the pond that was in the background. Okay, so she takes a picture of that. And then the other picture she submitted was what she thought was a huge extraterrestrial vehicle, because it had this almost like a saucer shape that was black that looked like a shadow or something. So when you're looking at the photograph, you go, yeah, you know what, that does kind of have all that kind of shape. But sometimes you got to look beyond the photos. And in this particular case, because since it occurred in my state, I was able to go, drive an hour and a half away with another investigator and conduct investigation. And, we thought, well, we're out there with, thinking we're going to take some soil samples and we're going to block off an area and we're going to take some vegetation samples and all that and send it to the proper places to have all this analyzed. And originally when she sent me one of the photos, I look at the reptilian one, And my first thing was, okay, I want to get a closer look at this photo. So I blew the photo up to 200%. Now what you think is the head of a giant reptilian and the shoulders and the body of this green looking shape of this thing. Now it doesn't look like a giant reptilian anymore. Now it looks like a tree, right?
Yeah.
So then we're looking at it deeper, and then we're looking at the top of the tree, and we see what, at the time, because I was collaborating with state director at the time, and we were both thinking that we're seeing the head of a bear in the top of the tree, right? Okay, so, my thing is, let's go take a look at this thing, see what we can find. Let's look for some hair samples, see if, we can find any findings at all, maybe some scat or something left by bear, or anything that could present that there might have been a bear that was in the area that climbed up in the tree, or maybe we'll get lucky and we'll even see a bear up in the tree. So, we go down there and we find out, just by, we knew, where the witness was standing because we pulled the metadata off the photo and we knew where their exact GPS coordinates were. So, we drove and plotted those exact spots. And, what's that thing where you use that, you measure the height of where, like you want to measure the top of a tree? I forgot there's a name of this. Like you can make one, or it's a device that'll measure the height of something. I forgot what it's called.
I always just use a compass and use the compass and come up.
Yeah, and I can't. This guy that was there, he had this kind of a homemade thing that was really cool. And so we take the car, we drive our cars, we drive around this little dirt road. We go to the back of the pond where the trees were, and you could see right in the picture by matching the photograph to where she would have been standing, where the photograph was taken, that was clearly a tree, right? Okay, so right away we ruled, okay, it wasn't a reptilian. Then we go up close to the tree, and my first thing was, okay, now I want to see, could that have been a bear up there? I looked for hair samples, couldn't find any scat or anything like that. And I took my fingers, and the bark on the tree came off really easy, and it peeled off really easy. So as soon as I peeled off the bark, I saw some pink flesh from the tree. So I knew that if any bear went to climb up on that tree, that the claws would have pulled off some of that bark since it was real soft. And since it hadn't occurred, none of the bark had been disturbed. I knew that there was no bear that climbed up there. Right. And what looked like a bear in the picture, was actually a set of pine cones that gave it the bear-looking face. And I'm just, I'm saying this to our listeners out there, that sometimes things that you see in photos that can look a certain way or appear a certain way, sometimes people's fears play upon them. And sometimes you got to take a closer look at things. If you hear something, blow it up 200%. Try to look at it again and see.
Pareidolia is one of the biggest things that we fight against, and it's very normal for people to, we are always looking for faces and everything else. It's part of the way that we communicate. We look at things like that. And, the first thing I always try to do with a witness when they send pictures at night, I said, go stand where you were and send me a daytime picture because I want to see what else is there.
It's the craziest thing, but when you're looking in the woods, and I'm sure you guys have seen this because you guys got a lot of, probably you've been out around in a lot of wooded areas and forests and things, but you might see something in the bush and think you're seeing the face of something, or you're thinking, what the heck is that? And you get up close and you see that, maybe it was what you thought was a certain thing was a McDonald's wrapper from a hamburger.
Right, exactly.
In the bush. Exactly. Or it was something else, that it was just a bunch of berries that were massed into a different shape or some weird thing like that, And, so I think that, and even this lady, that came from this, really good military background, just by talking to her, she said, I hope it's not what I think it is. And I could already tell because she's telling me that she's afraid. And I could see that her own fears were playing into this thing. Now, as far as the big shadow, black shadow that looked like, well, the first thing that I did was I went and called, number one is before I even went out in the field, I went and called the local, state troopers' offices to see if anybody reported any kind of a sighting that was in the area. There were no sighting reports from anybody else of any, possible extraterrestrial vehicles. And when you're, and then I'm looking at, because a lot of times when we think the sun is out, we think of the sun casting shadows, and it does.
Right.
But also you can have shadows that get cast when the sun's not even out. And so, we just happen to come out at the right time. But we're I'm observing the cars that are driving by on the road on this cloudy day. And I noticed that there were shadows underneath the car as it was driving by. Like when it's raining out and cars drive by and you could see shadows of the car from reflections and that kind of thing and light. So I said, okay, well, you can still have shadows even though the sun wasn't out during that time, it wasn't out. And as far as the shadow shape, well, the left part of the photograph, which looked like the curvature of the open sky, which kind of defined the shape of what you thought was a UFO, was actually the base of a water tower. So the base of the water tower was angular at the bottom, and then it came up. And then we looked at the water tower, we go, look, what she thinks is the blue sky right there, that's just part of the water tower, the base of the water tower. And as far as the shadow goes, the way the light was hitting the top of the trees, a big grouping of trees, it cast this big dark shadow in a certain shape that made it look like something. But I have my suspicions because, when you're looking at it close up and you're saying, okay, there's no portholes, there's no definitive shape of any type of spacecraft, then it makes you think like, okay, maybe it isn't a spacecraft.
Oh, right. Well, and I've also seen digital cameras can also put things in a place that is not normal, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to make a picture. They get the digital information. You can take a bug and you can put it in another area and it will look like a UFO.
That, or they want to zoom in so much on the picture that you can't really
get
and we see that a lot. Not only
isolated.
with the UFO cases, but with the paranormal cases too. Everybody wants to zoom in. I enhanced it the best I could. I don't want to see it enhanced.
Yeah, I want to see the original. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and and sometimes you zoom in things, and then on video, and it's the object's like bouncing all over the place. You're like, okay, where is it? And you're like that. I mean.
Yeah. I got a few more questions. I got a few more. William Nighthawk again mentions Patton's 4th Army Division, which his father was a mechanic in the infantry, and told him back in Germany when he was, after the bomb was dropped, that they had found a Bell craft, and kind of like the Ketzberg Bell, and also saucer-shaped Humanas V2s and V3 rockets and spears. My father guarded the stuff he mentions, and it's a great story, and we've heard a lot of that from past military, and that is the truth. Also, Brandon Versie, does one's ability of consciousness become more enhanced after an abduction, similar to an NDE? You want to take that? You want to answer that one? Yeah, I see.
I'm sorry. I didn't know you were asking me the question. I apologize.
Yeah, it was, does one's ability of consciousness become more enhanced after an abduction or similar to an NDE? I know you were saying you just haven't worked on very many abduction cases.
Yeah, I've only worked on one, so I probably couldn't give the best answer on that, honestly.
Okay, we'll answer. I see that Eric Mitchell's in here, and hey, Eric, how you doing, brother?
I do think that when people establish certain things, they have certain experiences that they hadn't had before, and maybe now they're a believer in the paranormal because of they believe in ghosts now because they experienced one, or have evidence of one, or now they believe in extraterrestrial craft, maybe because of stuff that they saw footage of or experience they've had themselves. And now it makes them like maybe their mind, their spirit is more open to new experiences and things that might allow them to be maybe more susceptible to the things that are around them and surroundings.
I would say yes, but in this case, I have to say yes. And Eric also mentioned yes. Eric and I have been working on his abduction case for over 7-8 years now. I can't even remember. It goes back a long, long time. But I remember some of the things that, it's amazing how abductees do change. And they seem to be able to, they get a download. I know that sounds to a lot of people like, what are you talking about, a download? They do. They get a download. Their intelligence level goes up. Their IQ will spike. I've seen it several different times. Talking to Eric Mitchell, and I mentioned Eric, and this will be he knows what I'm going to say about him. I talked to him one day, and here's this slow Arkansas dude talking to me. Hey, Bear, how you doing? Da 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 da. And then all of a sudden, it's like going. Called him up one day, and I got this kind of. Yes. How are you? Well, this is so. And I'm like, Eric, is this you? And he's talking like crazy stuff. I mean, and I'm always telling him, dumb it down for me, will you? I mean, all of a sudden you got a master's degree in 3 weeks, and he just went just all over the place. And great guy, wonderful, wonderful person. But it's amazing how much he's changed. I remember one time I asked him, I said, hey, would you mind, how's your Spanish? He says, I don't know Spanish. And I says, well, do me a favor and learn it. And when I get back to you, I'll get back to you. He's like going, we're going to Mexico. We're doing a case down there or something like that. And I call him, and I called him back in 48 hours, and the son of a gun could speak fluent Spanish.
Wow.
That's the kind of stuff that some of these abductees go through and do experience, and a lot of them do experience that, and it is quite amazing. Eric, thank you for tuning in tonight. Let's see what else is fact might have been smarter technology than us. Yes, they do have. I'm trying to get down here through us all here. I see the Magic 12s on here, Majestic 12. See anything more down here? Here's William Knight. The abduction cases are U.S. Black Ops highly secret technology. Excuse me, of the military-industrial complex power. I can agree with some of that in certain extents. I think that there are different programs going on, and I definitely believe that the Black Ops have their own abduction criteria that is out there, and that's an interesting thing to delve into deeper. See anything else on there as I'm missing it? What does he think about the translucent? What does he think about the translucent deer being seen or UFO related? In most of the trap cams, you'll see some odd translucent objects or something like that. Have you seen those before?
You're talking about the hunters will use, they'll set up on the cameras up on the trees and things like that. Yeah.
Right. We've seen some interesting pictures from them. A lot of people see it. Again, it's getting to know your cameras and everything. So a lot of times how they're set up, you'll see like 10 lights or you'll see 5 lights, depending on how the IR system flashes its lights out. Some of them are blacked out lights now, but it will also pick up unusual, if there's a spider web out there, it will look like, whoop, and you'll see dots across it, and then people will go, look, I caught a UFO in my trap cam. There are so many different things out there. Photography is what it is. When you're not there, you really have to be careful with it. But I have seen some pretty outrageous trap cam footage. I will say that, both of Bigfoot and also of odd beings and what I would classify as beams coming out of the sky, searching an area and other type of things. So I would agree with you. Some of that is pretty interesting footage. So I was going to ask you about your experiences. I know you had a ton of them. We're getting deep into the show here. And we're going to have to better end it. So I'm going to have to ask you to come back and see me again. Would you do that for us?
You know what? I love you guys. I'd definitely be happy to come back on the show. It's been a real pleasure.
Excellent. Well, Rick, what I'd like to do now is just let you finish up the show by saying, tell us about how we can get involved with all this stuff. We didn't talk about the Italian FUI, and we can get back on that one. But tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, follow you in that order.
Here's your shameless plug.
I almost want to cough just hearing you cough. It's catching, one person coughs and everybody coughs. So I have a website called ERC, which stands for Extraterrestrial Research Center, ERC. And if you guys want to go and visit my website, the website address is www.erc numerical 2, not the word 2, ERC2 and the word explore.com. So it's ERC numerical 2 explore.com. You can check out my website. There's a lot of useful information there. There's some really cool videos and a UFO glossary. There's some information on some cases, and also there's definitely some good material that you can read about in the research section. So also, if you experience some kind of a sighting, UFO sighting or event, you can go. There's a tab right on the upper right-hand corner of the website, and it'll say report a sighting. You can go there and fill out a form, report a sighting. And I will tell you, not every single case, we do investigate, because, I don't have the manpower to do that. But so there's only a few select cases that'll be chosen to be actually investigated. But yeah, so, definitely check out the website, stuff like that. I'd love to have you guys go down and check it out. And, if you want to use the form to reach out to me by email, you're welcome to do that as well.
Excellent. Fantastic. It was such a pleasure having you here tonight. And we thank you so much for giving us your time and the great information that you did lay upon us. For the rest of the crew, we're going to say adieu, and we will see you next week as the end of the fire goes on the chili train, as we bring Greg Chili Childress on, and we're going to be talking about an interesting case that was come out of Ohio that Chili is working on, and also about an event that he's going to be doing on a podcast live that's going to feature the great EBG, or the epic beard brother of Gnomeville.
Did you say chili that you eat, or Chilean, as in the country?
As chilly as we eat. That's why. His name is Greg Chili Childress.
Oh, okay.
And he goes by nickname is Chili.
You got me craving a bowl of chili now.
Yes, I love it too. Boy, it's a perfect time for one right now.
Yeah, it would.
But,
warm up the bones.
Yeah. But we'll see you all next week on Tuesday, same time, same place. And thank you all. We appreciate it. God bless. And have a great night.
Good night.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. It's been a pleasure being on the show. It was an honor. Hope
Pleasure
to see you guys
having you.
again. Thanks.